Hey there everyone, it's Unsolicited Steph and I have another video for you today. I think it's going to be a little different to the ones that I normally make though, so I hope you stick around to hear me out. I'm a little bit sick and it's early and it's cold because it's Canberra. It's currently the long weekend in June and I'm in Canberra, which is a place that's very special to me, and that's a key part of the story that I'm about to tell. But Canberra isn't where the story starts. Throughout my life, I've kind of been always kind of good at things. Like when I was little, I used to draw and I was pretty good at that. And I danced and I was pretty good at that. And I was really good at school and I did music and I was good at that. I played the piano, I played the flute, and then I quit the flute to take up percussion and I ended up being pretty good at that too. But throughout my life, I've also struggled to find my passion, and I've always been really envious of people that have been able to stick to one thing and just really commit. Maybe I have a fear of commitment, I don't know, but it's something that I always struggled with. When I was little, I wanted to be a model, but I was told I wasn't going to be tall enough. Then I wanted to be a ballerina, but I was too shy to audition for the fancy school. I've always had a lot of hobbies, and I'm kind of scared to commit to one for fear of neglecting the others. It wasn't until I went on a trip to the States in high school that I figured out that I could do for a job something that I thought was interesting, which was to be a diplomat. And so I went to uni and I studied a political science degree, and I ended up joining the public service, and that's how I ended up here in Canberra. In fact, I worked just over there at Defence. When I was at Defence and just generally in the public service, I was always so amazed by the people that were so committed to their field, to the policy, to really getting into it, and I was envious that I didn't have the same sort of passion. I tried to put my head down and just commit, but I really couldn't see myself committing to it in the long term. At one point, I watched a lot of Casey Neistat videos and was simultaneously inspired but completely paralyzed. How could someone be that committed to filming their life day in, day out? I thought to myself, if only I had the same passion about it, I could, make that sort of life for myself. But that's not how these things work. Casey Neistat is a total freak when it comes to vlogging himself. He has been literally recording himself for as long as he has been possibly able to get his hands on a video camera. Emulating that degree of passion about filming yourself is pretty impossible. It's not about copying someone else's passion, but finding your own. And that is way easier said than done. I'm realizing that the public service wasn't for me. I took a drastic step. And I quit my job. I remember people saying to me at the time how bold and courageous it was to quit my job, but honestly I just felt really foolish, and it was just this stubbornness that I have to scratch every proverbial itch. So I moved to Japan for a working holiday, which was more holiday than working. Hot tip for Australians and some other countries out there, I think you can get a free working holiday visa if you're under 30 to Japan, which is pretty cool, but you should check that out once COVID stops being a thing. Some personal shit went down while I was in Japan and I ended up traveling alone, which is not something that I was expecting to do. And it really threw me in the deep end. And along with that came a lot of self-reflection. I keep being followed around by these fucking birds. Thank you for hanging in with this video so far. I promise that there's going to be some advice soon, but I just got to get through the story. So while I was in Japan, I worked in the mountains for a little bit for this lovely couple, and I don't know if you guys do this while you're traveling, but I kept a journal. I was doing a lot of thinking about what I was going to do when I grow up and what my next move was going to be after this kind of trip of a lifetime situation. When my work was done for the day, I would study Japanese, I would freshen up, and then I would write my journal. Over a few days of doing this, I figured out an idea for what I wanted to do next. And I still remember Skyping with my parents over the dodgy internet connection to tell them, and I was really nervous to tell them that I decided to study architecture. I had a perfectly good degree already that I could use to get a job, but I just knew that I wasn't going to be happy in that field anymore. To come up with this change of career, I used a pretty simple method, which I'm going to tell you about now. I literally wrote a list of all of the possible things that I would want to do with my life next, and then I weighed up the pros and cons of each. I took time thinking about what I enjoyed doing, what I am naturally good at, and also kind of what I wanted to get out of life. When I was an analyst at Defence, I enjoyed the problem solving part, I enjoyed working with people, and also in my life I like making things, I like sewing, I like drawing. Added to that, I thought back on my two best subjects in high school, which were art and maths. And what do you do when you put them together? You get architecture. Finally, I knew that I wanted to do something that contributed to society. Initially, I had ideas about being a costume designer, but I decided that that wasn't gonna fit quite right. And I'm happy to report that so far so good. Architecture seems like a good fit. After I made the decision, everyone that I told about what I was gonna do next, they were like super supportive, and it seems like it's been a good fit so far. I can happily say that I think I found my passion. Now I guess I kind of understand how Casey Neistat gets up every day and just makes videos. Oh, wet butt. The method might not sound like much, but if you're at a point in your life where you're thinking of changing your mind about what you're doing, then I think it's a good way to take time to reflect on your values and what you like and dislike about your current situation. The answers will be there in front of you with the things that you already do in your life. I have to finish this in Sydney because I am running late to check out of our hotel. Bye. So another piece of advice that I wish I'd had about 500 years ago is that it's totally okay to change your mind. I don't know how I ended up with this way of thinking, but a few years ago I perceived that changing your mind is like admitting failure or admitting that you've done something wrong. Maybe because my parents and the parents of all of my friends are boomers and their whole shtick is that like they just have had the one career for their whole life. So I guess that I thought that if I was going to change tack, then that would be admitting failure or admitting that I'd made the wrong decision. Maybe that's how that generation perceives it. I don't know. The way I see it is that if you're doing something that's making you unhappy, or if you think you'd rather be doing something different, then you're bound to regret it if you don't give that other thing a shot. I've shared my story, this story, a lot before starting this channel, and more than a few people found it inspiring, or it's just got them thinking about maybe they should go and do the thing that they've always wanted to try. Okay, to wrap things up, first off, if you're trying to figure out what you want to do when you grow up, then think about your strengths and also think about how you'd feel if you didn't change your current situation. And second, remember that it's okay to change your mind. Changing your mind about your career isn't about admitting defeat, it's not about failing, it's not about giving up. It's about taking control of your life, taking control of your future and your happiness. And remember, it's always okay to change your mind back too. That shows growth, awareness and self-reflection. You might feel foolish and a bit stupid for giving up something that's so familiar, but remember there's bravery and courage in taking some different steps for the sake of your own happiness. I know that not everyone is in a position to make drastic changes to their lives, and I fully acknowledge the privileged position that I had when I made the decision to quit my job and change my life completely. I was relatively unattached, I have zero dependents, and I didn't have a lot holding me to where I was currently living back in Canberra. I also have a very supportive family and a great network of friends to help me through that. And some new friends too from architecture, which I told you about in another video. Changes can be small too though, so if you needed a little push to get you heading in that direction, then consider this video a sign. Let me know in the comments below if you've made some drastic changes in your life and maybe you have some tips of your own that you'd like to share with people to help them find their passion. I have been Unsolicited Steph, you have been you, and I hope that this video might have inspired you to take some different steps in your life. So until then, I will see you guys next time.